I'm Nick McDaniel. He's Myron Fancher. How are you, buddy?
I am wonderful. Folks, welcome to your true source for clickbait-free wrestling news. Yes. How
I
y'all
don't
do? And
know.
opinions.
Yeah, I was about to say, I don't know if it's not clickbait or something, because sometimes you could argue it's you want clickbait for the absolute best podcast network on the planet that covers pro wrestling and more, and all of the best paid site information. It's all only available on patreon.com/tapped-out-pod. That's right. Absolute better than any of, any other, newsletter you might observe, any incorporated thing covering wrestling, all of that. It's way better because we give you the show notes for $1. We give you the shows weekly that we give you $5. $10, you're going to get anything we ever make early. And we're going to give you the digital collectible of the Tapped Out Collectibles Patreon exclusive. And at $25, absolutely without question, the best value you're ever going to buy here when it covers about anything pro wrestling, because we're going to give you an 8.5 by 11 exclusive physical copy of that Patreon exclusive, autographed by the talent themselves. And I told somebody today, hey, this week we're going to get the one signed that we're going out for the month of October. You've seen it. I've already showed it to you guys. And I said, that person's $25. If you want that picture signed, that is $25. So you're just getting all of the Patreon perks for free.
Yep.
Essentially.
Amen. And if we forget about our Pro Wrestling Tee store, don't forget about that, where you can dress exactly like your favorite tapped out guys.
That is true. ProWrestlingTees.com/tapped-out-pod. Trend there, right?
Yes.
Tapped Out Pod. Anyway.
Yep.
Look, let's get into, because, we are going to cover all the making the drives of all the Indies guys. We checking out the shows this weekend. We're going to cover those for you this weekend. Shortly, we'll jump into the making the drives. But before we do, this is a national show as well. And we always start every week now with Myron, something that's like, hey, what caught our eye on TV this week? And pretty simple answer this week, right? I think we were both like, what the hell? Like, Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker turn on Seth Rollins?
That's all I could think about. I mean, I had notes about other stuff getting ready. Like, Sunday, I watched the pay-per-view, and I'm Sunday morning or whatever, these Saturday morning, sorry. I didn't get to watch it till Sunday because of all of my life going on. But I'm making all these notes and getting ready, and then I wake up Monday morning, and I wake up late. And then everybody had already spoiled it. I see Seth Rollins laying there, and I'm like, what the hell is this? What is going on here? I don't know what's going on. But now I have to watch more television to find out. So they got that hook in me.
Well, listen, we've since learned, by the way, we're recording on Tuesdays. We always do, folks. So keep that in mind. Seth Rollins is injured, hurt. Maybe he's got to go get looked at, find out what's wrong. Who knows? It's because everybody, obviously, the immediate answer was, wait, what about War Games? Like, we were all told, like, it was going to be the Vision versus, some version, incarnation of the Bloodline with some friends maybe or something like that. We were like, hey, we got to get to 5 people. And everybody's like, well, it's going to be Seth, and it's going to be Braun and Bronson and Brock, and Austin Theory's name coming up a ton. By the way, I'll come back to that. I still think he's in play now. I think even more so he's in play now.
Well, he made the rounds of cuts. He wasn't cut, so
that's a whole other conversation. Yeah, but I don't know that. Are we getting a Vision like War Games at all? Like, do we go in a different direction?
Are they a stable?
Okay, let's go ahead and get into it because we're going to sidebar out of the whack if we don't. I still think Austin Theory's in play because I could see it being now Paul Heyman leading a young faction versus attaching himself to, an older group, if that makes any sense.
That makes perfect sense to me.
The Brock thing makes 0 sense to me now. I'm not saying it won't happen. Let me back up. 0 is not the right answer. Obviously, any percentage you're going to tie to it is just the history with Paul Heyman.
Yes.
Like, that's it. The reason I don't think it makes any sense to me is because Braun Breaker essentially turns on Seth because I think he didn't want to play a backup guy to anybody. And just in case you're aware, if Brock joins that group, Braun, you're playing second fiddle to Brock.
Well, Seth was doing that thing where he was telling about how great everything was, but he was giving himself credit for everything. And you could see, okay, so me knowing the spoiler before I watched the show, from the minute the show came on my television, I watched for hints. And I watched for little bitty things, Paul Heyman kissing him like Jesus. I mean, Judas kissed Jesus. Little things like that. Who's going to, and the facials, and Paul Heyman has the best expressions in the world. Absolute best expressions. Because the whole time they were turning on him, I didn't realize Paul Heyman was going with him till the last minute. I can't wait to see the backstage Heyman segments from on this to find out what's going on. I'm just intrigued. You got me with intrigue. I think if we get a Braun Breaker stable out of this, he needs Paul Heyman. He's not talky guy yet. He needs Paul Heyman until he gets himself established more. He's still a young talent, and Bronson Reed has never been a talker, so the Paul Heyman thing makes total sense. But is Paul coming along willingly? I didn't know. I was watching Paul. Paul's face didn't turn angry and mean until both of the guys turned on Seth. So I'm kind of worried about that. I don't know what's going on. I'm perplexed.
I think he was given the choice and he made the quick decision choice. That was probably the right choice. Well, not probably. At that moment, it was the only choice. Because you're not really sure what's going to happen to you if you don't.
Well, a big man would jump on top of you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think that.
He's squishier than most average talent.
Well, he's going to get hit faster than Seth, if you know what I mean. That belly's going to be a little higher and it's squish. So I think, but back to the War Games question is, do we just not look, if Seth is injured and that's why we're pivoting, I think it does change a couple things. I think it clearly takes out potentially the War Games story altogether. Even if they pick up Austin Theory and there's still 3 of them and they're all young, you're still too short. You know what I mean? Like the math still doesn't work. Now the math works less than it before. Even if you added Brock, you're still at 4.5.
But you told me how many times, how much longer do we have the Survivor Series? Isn't it like the all-time lengthiest space between pay-per-views we've seen all year?
All year, probably, because I think, listen, and I haven't looked, but Survivor Series is Thanksgiving weekend that Saturday. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a huge gap in relation to what we're used to now. Let me put it to you that way. So, lots of storytelling to be told here in the next weeks for a change. We're going to have a long build-up, hopefully, to this. Not that it doesn't come back full circle and we end up with, I've seen Jimmy J, Roman, Punk, and Rollins somehow versus, and they throw a team together over on the other side of, they add Brock and they add somebody else and Theory and whatever. Now, the easy scapegoat is, as we probably, when we were watching SmackDown, we saw the MFTs at full strength. It looks like face paint, leader solo. But then is it Wyatt 6 versus, listen, at least the math works. It justifies it. And I will tell you this. You want me to tell you something?
What?
I will say that would probably be way more brutal because those groups have less, they're not top tier guys. They're going to do stuff that Roman's not going to do. And you know what I mean?
Why put your top tier? Why put your lower tier talent in your big match? Unless you're going to have more than one Survivor Series match.
Who says it? Well, they're going to do a women's one too.
Yeah, and they're going to put the top talent in that one.
They did.
Do they have any women that aren't top talent? I mean, the women's roster is amazing. The Tiffany Stratton and Stephanie Vaquer match technically was a really, really good match, folks. I think we're getting better wrestling on the women's side.
But here's the thing. You're thinking what if that's not the main event? What if there's, Cody versus somebody for the title, or what if Seth is healed? Let's hypothetically say, what if it's Seth versus Punk aren't a number one contender match, right?
I don't think anything is set right now, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, I'm sure they know what they're doing, but we just don't know. But my thing is, Punk could, if Rollins is hurt, could Punk pivot and go, I want to wrestle Cody for the title. I'm supposed to wrestle Seth, and he's hurt. Sure,
Well, no
we
Friday.
can do that. Along the way, we'll figure it out over the next upcoming weeks. And by the way, it was on the Tapped In show. You should check it out if you haven't checked it out yet. It's funny because I had a conversation with Matt Griffin. We were just talking about wrestling shows, and he tried to trick question me, and I got an A+ because I got the right answer on the question. It was like, hey, what's the point of a wrestling show? It's to sell tickets to the next show.
Okay, I hadn't thought about that.
They're selling me to next week. We have to watch next week to see like where we go into Survivor Series now, because we thought we had it all figured out. We could skip episodes weekly along the way. Well, we don't have a clue what's happening at Survivor Series now, so we have to watch.
Oh, they got me. They got me hook, line, and sinker. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm dying to find out. What was the other match like?
Dominic Mysterio versus Penta caught my eye, and a couple of things have triggered as to why it caught my eye, by the way, because a little rumor came out and like teased out, and I'm like, okay, that I'm in for Survivor Series. Dominic Mysterio defended Penta. They had a great match. It was awesome. By the way, Dom, really good right now. He's on a roll.
Oh, yeah. Huge fan.
Dominic retains. He's still your Intercontinental Champion, blah, 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 blah. I know Rusev is in the mix, blah, 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 blah. What if at Survivor Series, it's Dominic Mysterio versus Penta versus Rusev versus John Cena for the Intercontinental title? Or what if it's just one-on-one Dominic Mysterio?
I want Dominic and Cena. That's all I want.
No, I agree with you. I do. I 100% agree with you, by the way.
There's too many variables, man. There's a lot of good people on the Intercontinental, that bracket right now. There's a lot of good people. And, Rusev was rumored not to want to lose, according to some people, when he was in AEW.
Maybe he didn't want to lose anybody on that roster.
Yeah.
Difference. I think Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena for the Intercontinental title, because it's the only title John Cena hadn't won. There's built all kind of, momentum, hypes to whatever. Can John Cena win? Because this goes one of two ways, by the way. Let's go with the first and the obvious one. Dominic Mysterio beats John Cena and deprives him of the one title he never got to win. The heat that just kind of pours onto Dominic Mysterio.
With a little heel spice on it. Yeah, I'm in.
Or, number two, John Cena beats Dominic Mysterio, and he puts that he's the Intercontinental Champion. He gets to say he won every title in WWE. And now his match on December 13th is defending that Intercontinental title in his final match of all time. He retires as the champion if he wins, or do they make the next guy?
That's putting extra rub on it. Because if he loses the title and loses to somebody, because that way the guy walks around with the belt and says, I ended John Cena's career.
So The Rock was on New Heights with the Kelsey brothers and says he had some say, but he would have some say. He has some say in creative still in the WWE. He is aware of who John Cena's final opponent is, would not say who it is, would not get into any of that. Says he really likes both guys. He's a big fan of both of them, loves them both. And I thought to myself, I said, well, Self, what if his final match is the return match of Dominic Mysterio versus John Cena for the Intercontinental title, for Dominic Mysterio to get his title back? That's a rub if he could beat John Cena on his way out. Because here's my thing. Or, see, I'm bridging here all over the place. Or the final match, they're 100%, they were correct when they were saying it's Gunther, for Gunther to get back the Intercontinental title. That was the belt that led him to the world title the first time.
I would be fine with either one. Okay? Seriously. I'd be fine with either one. I always said Gunther. Now, when you bring in Dominic Mysterio, I'm like, okay, Yeah.
Mm.
I could. We'll all. Yeah, I could play to that because it's going to be right. I mean, it's what Thanksgiving and then December 13th. So it's basically a 2.5 week window, right? 2 week window. So you better be building a storyline for
Because here's
Gunther
the
and a
thing.
storyline for Dominic at the same time.
John Cena has, if my memory serves going to be correct, 0 appearances scheduled between Survivor Series and December 13th. It's literally Survivor Series and then the 13th, and that's it.
And we got to get a good promo for the opponent to get him there. I think that promo guy is Rusev. Not. Oh, sorry. No, Gunther. Got
I
large
don't.
men mixed
I
up.
think it's Dominic. But the reason I think it's Dominic is Dominic gets to holler for 2 weeks on TV about wanting a rematch, and he deserves a rematch. And if it plays out that way, you give it to him. Now, I would love to know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Do you like any of those scenarios? Neither of those scenarios. What's your scenario? Tomato, tomato, whatever. Tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Let's dive into the match that actually happened a little bit. We're going to talk about Crown Jewel a little bit. John Cena versus AJ Styles. People talking about best match in, the year, the decade. It was everything you
The
wanted
love
and
letter
then
to
some.
professional wrestling.
Yep. I'll let you start, man. What were your thoughts?
I thought everybody in that arena had on a yellow shirt. Okay. And it wasn't one where they gave out yellow shirts. They bought those damn yellow shirts. The crowd was super hyped. I tried to watch it because everybody, well, you did this, because, everybody was like, he did this tribute, this tribute, this tribute, this tribute. So I was like, did I see this? I got lost in the nostalgia and the feelings and just seeing John and AJ put that match on, and you couldn't have done it with anybody else. He couldn't have done it with somebody who was capable of so much. AJ is one of the all time greats. AJ, the little note he handed to the announcer thing, you'd already told me about that, but it still got me. Not a bad thing. Not a single bad thing anywhere in that match. Two guys just showing us why we started watching wrestling.
Can
That's
I
all
ask you
there is to
something?
it. Yeah.
Or I'm going to say something and let you see if you agree or disagree. That should have been his final match. In hindsight, after watching it, that should have been the last match.
That could have been his last match, and everybody would have left satisfied.
Yeah.
They made such good gear for Cena for that. I'm not sorry for AJ for that match. He looked absolutely perfect.
That was his TNA
Everything was
gear.
perfect. Yes. Um, I can't complain about it. Usually you'll see something and be like, oh well, they slipped here, he slipped there. Not really.
It's not even that. It was one of those, I posted it. It's on social media that wrestling was emotions. It's not moves. And that match is what triggered that post. Cause I'm like, the match was great.
Exactly.
Wasn't 5 stars. Look, although they were doing some cool moves and stuff. I mean, it was very spot to spot to spot to spot style match, but I didn't care.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there going like, oh my God, it's Randy. Oh my God, it's this guy. He's tributing this guy from one to the next. And, it's, and we joked about this in the car one time. We were saying like, when you grow old as a dude, I'm going to say you should, and I could be wrong. When you're a dude, and I know our audience is pretty heavily percentage-wise, the target demo is male. When you get into your late 40s, early 50s, mid 50s, call it whatever range, and you've got kids and they're older, and you're kind of, I said to somebody one time, and it ain't a popular thing to say, when you're like, hey, like I understand there's more life in my rearview mirror than out my front windshield. Like, you're kind of like, you start getting into a place of, you start getting into your feels a little bit. Like there's little things that'll get you that didn't used to
I'll
get
cry
you.
at the drop of a hat nowadays.
Man,
Anything makes me emotional, and wrestling this match made me emotional, Nick.
1,000. That's my point. If a match can get you like that, because I'm sitting there going like, we're literally watching an absolute conclusion to an era of wrestling. And listen, we grew up and I'm going to clarify it as we go. we've watched these two guys as adults, period. We were adults when they both made it and,
Yeah.
were coming up. We've seen their entire careers as adults. That matters, and I'll tell you why. Look, Dusty will always be like, hey, he was the best. He was my favorite,
Bob
blah, blah, blah.
Armstrong. But they were
But
both
Dusty, like,
already wrestling. We were born. They
they were
already had a career.
established wrestlers when we get to the point we could even remember seeing them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everybody's like, I remember seeing, like, my early memories, I was like 4, I was seeing Dusty on TV. Okay, you know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. So, like, I wasn't an adult. I wasn't irrational. Like, I could think the process through, kind of an adult. And I've gone full circle now to the part that now on the back end of these guys' careers, I'm like, the emotional side of it is overtaken, where I'm like, we know AJ's done in the next year as well. He brought it out. That's kind of why I thought this could have been his last, Cena's last match. It would have kind of bookended it all and started the official end run, I guess, if you want to call it that, of AJ's as well. But it was like, that's why it's all in our feels, is because we get it now. Like, this dude's wrapping up something. Like, we joke about, like, oh, we're wrapping up this era of our being a parent. Like, now all of our kids are adult kids, so we've moved on. They don't need us as much. John Cena's coming to an end of his career, where now he's like, hey, and we're going to be like, I remember when we crapped on this guy because he was 5 moves of doom and this is, and I think we all kind of like made some jest and jokes along the way. And it's, they always talk about, you don't know what you miss until it's gone. Folks, we're here. We're four appearances, whatever. AJ's coming right behind him too, folks. Enjoy it and embrace it.
How many dates do we have left signed, Nick?
I mean,
we're looking at the end of our lives the way they're looking at the end of their careers, and they both got to go out on a high. This is a match I'll remember.
I hope
not
so.
Who Cena's last opponent was. Not who AJ's last opponent
now
was.
Listen, we say all that to say they may stun us. They may surprise us and over deliver even in the last match, and who the hell knows, right? That's the question. I mean, like, what do you do and how do you deliver something better than what they did? I don't know that they can, but I'm all for finding out if they can. That's for sure.
Yes. But it's going to be hard to follow that, though.
Yeah. Speaking of following up an international paper, like a PLE, sorry, it's still going to take me forever to get that out of my system. In the post press conference, Triple H comes out, the fans borderline hijacking the post show conference chant with chants. I loved his little zinger. I don't know if you caught it. That when they're chanting, "We want Edge," he just kind of like under his breath real low. It's like, well, you can't have him. And he kept moving. It's like,
okay, I actually watched this while you were recording the earlier show. While you were doing that, I was sitting down here, got all my gear ready, and then watched the press conference, which I rarely ever do. And the fans were crazy. I don't know if I like that as much. Chanting, "We want Mania." Okay, Triple H was saying, "We're a global company. We do global events. The W in WWE stands for world." And he put it out there, which I didn't realize. WrestleMania 27 in Saudi is going to be like a test of how they can put it together. Their logistics, their organization for the biggest show, the biggest weeks, everything. It's a week of entertainment, and they've got to put it together there.
All of the ones they've been doing, the setups haven't been super extravagant.
Yeah.
They've been the screen and they've come out or whatever. Like Manias and the Survivor Series, and those are different creatures, folks. Like they have to bring. Think about the setups they do in those stadiums for Mania, where it's just elaborate and they've got all that stuff. Like, oh, by the way, now you're gonna have to take all of that overseas.
Well, Crown Jewel shouldn't they didn't have much more than a really good Raw as far as pyrotechnics and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Entrances. But I don't ever want to see Crown Jewel on U.S. soil. I think this is a show that should never come home. It's never been in America. It's never been run in America. This should be a touring product that gives people taste all around the world.
I'm honestly didn't want to see it outside of Saudi Arabia. And that's not a knock. It's not a political. That's just me going like, I just assumed it was a
Saudi Arabian property. Yes.
So if you're going to give me, like, for example, if they run 2 shows there, okay, well, one of them is Rumble, then the next one is Mania, whatever. Okay, well, the other one that you run, it's Crown Jewel. It's any non-major PLE event in there would be Crown Jewel.
It was a sold-out crowd, though, in Australia, and it was extremely well received.
Yeah.
So,
all of that being said, let's go to the punchline, Myron. I don't know why this is new. We've been saying this for a while, that, hey, they're a global company. This is going to happen. They're trying to, as much as we complain about things in the United States, Canada, even whatever, they may have tapped the market. The market may be tapped in the United States. That's simple. Like, there's not as much room for growth, percentage-wise in growth, as there is overseas internationally, whether it's in Europe or if it's in Australia or even Saudi Arabia, wherever. The money and the opportunity of growth is there, so we should not be shocked by any of this. And by the way, I know I'm probably in the minority. TappedOutPod@gmail.com. I had zero, and I mean 0 issues with that PLE coming on at 8 o'clock in the morning. I started it at about 9 when I got up, did my usual stuff, whatever. Finally got to sit down about 9 o'clock and was like, I'm going to watch the PLE.
Well, I like the fact that I was done with Raw last night by 1 or 2 o'clock. So we had time to go out and do things with friends. We went to a friend's senior night for their daughter's team.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't have done that and hung out with people had it been Raw on at 8 o'clock.
Right.
It gave me some kind of flexibility. I said I could have watched the pay-per-views before we left to go to the Indy show we were going to. I didn't. I got up and had to do, let's go.
Dude, I had it watched before college football kicked off.
Yes. That's
my thing. And if you're going to tell me that WrestleMania is going to kick off at 2 in the afternoon and it'll be over by 7 on a Saturday, hell yeah.
That's not bad.
It's not really a bad thing. Bad. We as a country have gotten spoiled to the point that we don't get that. What I'm saying is we should be 8 o'clock our time. Why? What about the people?
Watch it at 8 o'clock your time.
What about the people on the West Coast? They've never complained that they're 4 hours time difference. Yeah. When we were running them on the East Coast, right?
And Raw's on the East Coast and all that kind of stuff. You're still going to have it at 8 o'clock. You just wait till 8 o'clock to watch it. It's going to be there.
Absolutely.
They're not taking anything away from you.
I don't want spoilers. Don't get on social media.
Oh, yeah. Do not get on social media.
Yeah.
Do not.
Don't tell your friends not to text you or message you as they're spoiling stuff or whatever. So, again, not super surprised. I thought, by the way, I would love to point out the fact that the ESPN writer gave the show a B. Not a D. He gave it a B this time, so maybe everybody will pump the brakes. At least it lets you know. Because here's the thing, I don't disagree with that in the least. By the way, I thought that it was a good show. Here's my thing. The problem is we shouldn't be out here throwing A's like they're pennies.
Like Meltzer, who had to get up with more stars. You ran out of stars, so you had to add another 4 stars. That'd be 5 stars. That was a great show. I enjoyed every single match on that show. I thought everything was wonderful. Might have given it an A, but then again, I said, well, I'd have given the other one an A. So Myron's just going to hand out A's. So maybe he's more objective than us. Maybe he's a sports.
No, I agreed with it. I said it was a B show. I mean, there were a couple things I was like, that was good, but it wasn't great, and that's okay. A's are for great shows that hit home runs across the board, top to bottom. Every match delivers. Blah 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 blah. We'd like to take that. Listen. Cena AJ, so far, match of the year, in my opinion.
Yes.
That doesn't make it an A show. One match, being that does not make the entire show an A. There are 4 other matches on there that drug down the average. And you know what? 4B still drags down the average of an A. Still makes it a B. See my point? That's what I need folks to be. I know, there's one of my favorite segments on Mondays is I watch Pat McAfee because he calls it Overreaction Monday. And that's what we do every day the day after. Hey, let's be a little bit more realistic and rational here. Let's not go overboard and go crazy. It's just all I'm saying. Now, let's get into a little something that did go crazy. TNA Bound for Glory. Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, the Hardys, versus Bully Ray and Devon, Team 3D. Let's call them the Dudley Boys because that's who they are. They went out there and just tore the house down. Let's leave the crowd because I want to have a whole TNA conversation at the end of this. Just come back to the same thing we were talking about, the end of an era. Guys we've watched from our entire adult lives who, were like, hey, this weekend, if you're a wrestling fan in your early 50s, mid 50s, this is gut punch weekend.
Yeah.
Because there's lots of stuff you're losing in one weekend.
Yeah. And the Hardys, they really haven't dropped. They've slowed down, but they're still crazy. You know what I mean? And they've still got those TNA belts. And the NXT belts. They've still got the NXT
both belts. Yeah, they have both belts.
So you're going to get to see more Hardys, but the Dudleys always were special to me. I don't have my Dudley's glasses handy where I could grab them. I always loved Devon and Bubba. I always loved the extra things they did, the connection. I even got to see Spike. Spike Dudley came out real quick.
Mm-hmm. Got Jeff jumping off ladders, going through tables.
Yeah. So you get all your hits. That's one good thing. This weekend was play all the hits weekend, in my opinion.
Sure.
You got to see everything you wanted to see.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
Can we effectively say, send the hate mail to tappedoutpod@gmail.com. For all the wrestlers out there in the world who trying to prove the world they're the best technical wrestler on the planet, nostalgia still sells better, in my opinion, at times. Now, you got to get to that level.
To connect with wrestling. If it's a wrestling show that I don't connect with feelings, I don't like it. I don't watch it. I can't keep up with a show that's not based.
Do you know why that is?
Why is that?
Because a wise man posted on social media that wrestling is emotion, not moves.
Yeah.
That's why. It's all about a connection to the fans. It ain't about what you can do. If I can connect to a fan and cut back on my moveset, young wrestlers, it's just some humble advice, and I don't know shit because I'm just a wrestling fan. But I'm just telling you, it's more about emotions than it is about moves.
Exactly. Don't give me a gimmick you have to explain to me. Okay? Yeah. Go out there and be just something that your average fan could understand and perform for the people who are buying the tickets. And that's what these guys did. They gave themselves, AJ, Cena, the Dudleys, the Hardys, gave the fans exactly what they bought the tickets for.
Yeah. Now, he got exactly what he was wanting, I guess, maybe out of this. I wanted to ask you specifically about this. I think part of that moment was, at the end, I don't know if you've seen the end of the match, the Bubba moment where he kind of nods his head. It's like he accepted his fate. He knew it was it. Is that somebody going, it's the end of my run? I always said it to this level. This is a horrible example. I'm chill bumps thinking about it. Sorry, it's crazy. Is this the old gunfighter knowing he's kind of caught the moment of like, this is the end, but I want the best to be the one, I want that one to be the one that shoots me and takes me out.
Yeah.
And he just kind of accepted his fate, takes the bump, it's over. They do the boots, they give them their boots, they do the group hug, everything, and everybody's like, oh, I don't get it. If you don't, maybe that moment wasn't for you. Like that moment was for a lot of other people.
Yeah.
The wrestling, there was great wrestling on the show, by the way. And if you don't think, now I want to get into the massive topic of the TNA Bound for Glory. Packed house, 7,794. Thanks for the number. I was like,
all-time North American record for them.
So, are fans invested in TNA, folks? That's a question. Seems that way.
They're giving us old fans our old stuff. They're bringing enough WWE talent to help them develop their younger talent and rub their younger talent. Something is starting to work with TNA, and this is
so.
We're going to play right into this later on how investment and how things work. But right now, TNA is doing great.
So I'm going to ask you a question, Myron. So you're telling me that remember the question that it was flying over the social medias it was a few months ago. What does TNA get out of the deal with NXT and WWE? Well, folks,
Yeah.
there's your answer.
You know, they got a sellout. They got
And
a TV deal coming up, which is going to be odd in this time. Apparently, TV deal. I hope the TV deal was already done before our next topic rolls out.
they have greatly benefited from it. They are back into the mix. Congratulations to TNA. We know some people that are over there, and we're happy for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to follow up to what you just said, look, it literally, the news broke right before I think, matter of fact, it may have been while we were recording. Hell, I can't remember. Right before we recorded last week, this whole new Nielsen system, the big data plus panel system, and we tried to go through it. The notes, there is some overlap to last week. I'm fully aware. Don't send the emails. We get it. Some of the information's come out. You know, the old model was like basically 42,000 households, represented the entire U.S. TV audience because of the way the old antiquated system was. The new system now counts set-top boxes, smart TVs, streaming platforms, etc., etc.
Everything.
Roughly 45 million devices, you know, or whatever.
So they by a factor of 1,000. Okay, they went up 1,000%.
It also, by the way, is it's helping be a more modern viewer. That was included, not just somebody that was latched to the old TV and the old, you know, the Nielsen box or whatever. So it's kind of got new streaming habits included to it. So the question became last week, we talked about it, NFL, MLB, college football, WNBA, boom, they see increases on the new numbers. It looks, wrestling, not so lucky. I mean, they were literally gut punched by it.
Yeah.
And
see, the good thing is about that. Go ahead with that.
No, I just said with the new numbers that kind of leaked out, we're not going to go number by number. Dynamite drew the lowest number that they had, you know, ever under the new system. SmackDown was down to like FS1 numbers. NXT did fairly well though, which is weird, but okay. So everybody gets into the questions of the why, but go ahead and say what would you have?
Well, here's the thing: we'll be able to tell how much this matters because WWE is a publicly traded company. If this affects the stock prices over there, Mr. Investor, the guy with all his stock, if this shit cans the stock prices, we're gonna see this. But right now, people are buying all the tickets. People are buying all the merch. People are trying to get in these. They say the ticket prices are too high. They couldn't charge us ticket prices because the people who are watching, if it's a smaller number, the people who are watching are devoted fans. But if this hurts the TV deals because they don't want to pay as much for a TV deal because nobody's watching it. You know, a TV deal for a $50 million, the $50 million TV they got for NXT, the $50 million deal NXT got. If less people are watching it, the next offer is going to be less.
But ironically, their number is still up.
Okay. So if TNA is going for that deal, they've got that big TV deal, and people find out, oh, these ratings were crap, they're not going to pay them as much because the advertisers will not be getting this. If we start getting Car Shield, and we start seeing Ice-T trying to sell us stuff and lower value advertisers, payday loans, that kind of stuff.
General.
Yeah, the General. Go to the General and save some time. Those people aren't going to be what draws the huge TV contracts, those advertisers. Right now, they've got top-of-the-line advertisers on most of these shows.
And that's one of the concerns is two things. One, do higher-end advertisers jump ship to sports again and be like, hey, the return of investment's better over there? It's always going to come down to that, by the way, in the business world, that ROI thing. Shocking. But I think there's two things. One, I want to come back to, you talked about the attendance. I think the two things, I think, could things be skewed? What if, in this hypothetical, there's just a lot of people watching on TikTok and YouTube clips.
So easy.
The kids are just watching that. They're not going to sit down. A kid's not generally, you know, a 15-year-old's not going to sit down and watch, you know, 2.5 hours of Raw.
My kids had TVs in their rooms and never turned them on because they were always like, yes.
Yeah.
That's all they did. I mean, and I do it too, but they never turned on the television. They never watched the 2 televisions, Roku's, everything up in their rooms, never turned them on. Not because they were watching TV with us, because they were sitting there watching everything on their phones.
Yeah.
Now, do they monitor? Does Nielsen got something on my phone?
If you have the streaming services, you can turn on where it's tracking your device. That's part of it, which we'll get into. Well, the problem that where it all starts is NFL complained they were undercounted. Was wrestling overrepresented? And I think a lot of that was because the people that were doing the Nielsen's, did they fit more the wrestling fan demographic? So it just seemed like more. So when you extrapolate 42,000 people out into the masses with the numbers, it just looked like a massive number. But was it because the people doing it were more likely to be wrestling fans because it's somebody who would need/want the money that was involved for being a Nielsen family or whatever?
I don't know, but the old model was outdated, antiquated, and just not a good way to develop facts for this kind of stuff. So maybe this one will be better. Maybe this is just they're working the bugs out. Maybe a week later, wrestling will have ratings through the roof. We got to wait and see on this one.
Well, look, I look, my caveats to kind of part of the other thing is I would ask this question. It is kind of, because you brought it up when we were talking about this prior to recording, it's kind of Big Brother-ish, like, oh, I don't want them to know what I'm watching.
I turn all that stuff off.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Just funny thing. Here's a weird thing. But what if more wrestling fans, we're going to flip the script the other way and go the other direction. What if more wrestling fans are typically more to be conspiracy theorists, and so they're just absolutely out with letting them track their stuff? So are they underrepresented versus overrepresented like they were? Because most of the people I'm not letting them watch. I ain't letting them watch my stuff.
How many people? How do you get
government's out to get me?
Yeah, exactly. And how does Pornhub count all the views? Okay, they got an accurate count on views on their stuff. Is Nielsen that good? Okay, somewhere there's a line in here where I don't understand who's counting what, where it's being counted, and how they're counting it. Because what I'm doing on the internet, I watch all my TV on the internet through YouTube TV. Is that something different?
I think it's got the same. I don't know. I've never had YouTube TV, but usually in the settings on I know on Apple, like when I put something on my Apple device, it asks me, like when I'm setting it up, it's like, do you want to? Well, do you want it to allow what you're tracking for? Whatever. And then it's in the settings. I can go in there. And you know what? I just don't care. I let it watch. I'm like, all right. Because you know why? I want my shows to get counted. I want them to get a view out of it, so it's credited or whatever.
Know what I'm doing.
I mean, there's a whole theory that I used to tell my kids about that.
Between me and Jesus, that's all.
If you ain't doing stuff you shouldn't be doing, then it wouldn't matter. That's what I always used to tell my kids. But I will tell you there is some good news before we move on. I do want to say I am excited because it was also mentioned Max will be included in those numbers, I believe, starting in January or February.
Okay, so that'll help AEW. Definitely.
Will it help? Or will we know the actual numbers now? Because remember, Meltzer was out there throwing out like, oh, there's 500,000 people watching on Max. Okay, we'll find out in January.
Okay.
I mean, listen, I hope he's right. I hope they can genuinely prove, wait, there are 500,000. That's why the numbers on TV kind of dipped a little bit, because when Max made it available, our fans are more streaming, and so they moved over to the streaming platform and enjoy it that way. So that's why their TV numbers went down.
Now you've made it personal because we have so many friends working for AEW. I want them to know my actions. When I'm watching AEW, I want them to know I'm watching AEW. I want to help my friends out.
That's 100% why I let. Because most of what I'm watching, I'm watching sports, I'm watching wrestling, and you know what? The reason I always make the joke of I do want the shows that I watch to get noticed. You know why? I'd like those shows to continue. If you're like, I ain't gonna let them watch, then you're part of the hey, if it doesn't get renewed, well, you didn't let them count your view. Like if there's 100 of you got, then that's how much does that skew the mass when it extrapolates out?
Well, Melissa watches Call the Midwife and that show Brazelton all the time. It drives me crazy.
Is it Bridgerton or Brazelton?
Okay, Bridgerton. That too.
That city too.
Yeah, that city too. I don't understand it. It's like
I would love your feedback. I mean, hey, you just not adamant like tappedoutpod@gmail.com, or you Don't want them watching, or the system. Or here's the other one. Or is this system just as messed up and convoluted as the last? That could always be the case.
I don't trust it.
I'll tell you one thing you should trust, and it ain't convoluted, and that is every week here at the Tapped Out Podcast, we jump in the car and we say, hey, it is time to make the drives as we take a look ahead into what's going on this weekend across Georgia wrestling. Where are we going to be and what's going on this weekend? Well, let's jump right into it, Myron. Thursday, Athens, Georgia, One Fall Wrestling, back in the Dalton Carpet One warehouse there. It's going to be a spectacular show. It's killing me that I can't make it. On Thursdays, I'm going to be out of pocket for a few weeks. I'm grandpa nanny, watching the little one.
And I am no longer allowed to drive again. So yeah. It's going to be, if Nick can't drive, I'm going to have to try to trick my family.
Yeah. So this show, Vari Morales will defend against Mark Davidson. He will defend the Breakout Championship. Now you can see already one match in why I'm kind of bummed out I can't make it.
Yeah, that's quality.
Yeah. Brady Booker and Billy Gunn, they will tag team, and they will go up against Elijah Drago and Brady Pierce. I'm going to mention Brady Pierce at the end, at the next show.
I just remembered who he was now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew he was. Yeah, I just remember. Yeah.
Jack Jameson's going to take on the Warden, and Angelica Risk will take on Joya Blake. It's a new venue, new date. They just kind of started running it last month there, Thursday in Athens. Athens, you well know, it's a party town on Thursday. Yeah. South Main Brewing, they're going to bring some kegs over. They're going to be tapping them right there to get your drink. Believe a food truck's coming. They're going to have some food there as well.
That's why you get a great sponsor. You get a great sponsor like the Dalton Carpet, and you can run in their venues and stuff. The best relationship in professional wrestling I've seen so far.
Yep. So check them out again this Thursday up there at Athens. Follow them on social media, 1fwlive.com. Get your tickets and head on up there. Friday, Action Wrestling will be running in Tyrone, Georgia. That is where I will be. I'm heading on down there. I've kind of said it as on the Tapped In show. The Tapped Out Collectibles exclusives are going to be signed there at Action Wrestling. Not going to tell who. It's a spoiler alert for I don't want to spoil for who when those guys get those. Tim Bosby will be defending the Action World title against Adam Priest. Dude, I was like, yeah, I'm in. Krule will be taking on Grayson Pierce. Anytime you get a chance to see Krule in person,
yes,
don't miss it. Don't miss that opportunity. And Darian Bingston will take on Gary J., who's been all over the country and then some, all over the indie scene. But that's where I'm going to be heading out on Friday.
I might be going to the NWA show. But I want to mention, stop by Krule's table because he always has the coolest merch. So he has some awesome stuff. I may be going to the NWA show on Friday. It's downtown in Atlanta, which is the last place on earth I like going. But our buddies up at SCA have a show that we know is going to be good.
That they will. Again, Action Wrestling, by the way, real quick, get your tickets ahead of time because Tyrone sells out really well. That's their home base. And with all that talent that's going to be on that show, make sure you're getting those.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, SCA Squared Circle Action up in the Royston Dome. Bell time is 8 p.m. They're actually filming the episode for TV that will be airing on Halloween. So there's going to be a costume contest. So dress up, come all out, have some fun as well. We get to hear from De Silva, your new Squared Circle Action champion. Cashed in the Power Square. We discussed that a little bit on the Tapped In show on the Indy Rewind. Kudos to the kid.
Great kid. Congratulations. I think he has a lot of potential in the wrestling business.
Speaking of great kids who's got a lot of potential, Christian Taylor returns back to the Royston Dome as Boulevard has signed him to come back. Also, the big question on a lot of people's minds, Richard Page. Myron, shockingly, he had trouble trying to control two teams inside of a triple threat tag team match for the tag team titles. Can he hold those teams together? After the conflict they had at Fighterweb, that's a big question.
Did he fix his hair? Because the only person I've seen mess up their hair worse than him is Jey Uso with that brown sun-in look he's got going on.
You don't like that gold? I love the golden locks. I think it's a good look for him.
I don't like the golden locks. I don't like Rich Page. Is it Rick Page or Rich Page?
Richard Page.
Richard Page. I don't care for him. He's a heel. He's like Jim Cornette's. He's like the stuffed Jim Cornette's on the bottom of his shoe is what he is. He's a pretender.
Hey, Richard, that's just hate. Don't let it rub you the wrong way, man. Check them out every Friday there at the Royston Dome, 8 o'clock, SCA. On Saturday, Southern Fried Championship Wrestling will be in Monroe. It is a bell time of 7 p.m. for Crossroads. It's where we will be on Saturday. That is
Happy
our
birthday
plan.
to me. Yes, folks.
Yep.
I cannot wait to get to Crossroads. I love Monroe, Georgia. Those most welcoming people on earth. Such a wonderful show.
Sal Renard will defend the Southern Fried Heavyweight Championship against CT Keys. That thing's been building, forever, it feels like. But we're finally going to get Sal Renard defending that title against CT Keys. Nick Halen will take on Disturbed. Are we going to find out who the masked man is? We all have theories, but we don't really know. We don't have proof. Let me back up. And you can always speculate. But, hey, as we found out in Bullpen this past weekend, you can make all the accusations about who's in a mask until you see those two people in the same room at the other time. Check out the Tapped In show and understand what I'm talking about there. Judias and Todd Sexton will team up in Todd Sexton's maybe his last match.
I've seen that before.
Theoretically, maybe. Who knows? They will take on Jaden Vane and Xavier Cross. Xavier Cross, real quick. Talked about this a little bit on Tapped In. Did not realize physically how big he was until I saw him standing face to face with Judias, and I was like, holy shit, that is a big kid.
He's a big kid, but he's a kid.
Yeah.
Judias is experienced. And Todd Sexton's like he's like that old pair of underwear where the elastics kind of broke and you only wear them when you have to, but he'll never fall down on you. He's always
dependable. Hunter James will defend the Classics Championship versus Dominic Stuckey. Again, been building ever since they had their issues when they were together in the Crusade. Can Hunter James hold on? Look, he's starting to rack up a lot of belts. He's the Outbreak champion. He's the Georgia Heritage champion. He's the Classics champion. Can he not be distracted by the fact that sometimes you lose focus when it's somebody so close to you like a Dominic Stuckey and the falling apart? Can he focus and retain that Classic champion?
This is good, and this is very emotional for that crowd, so it'll be something hot to watch.
The tag team titles will be on the line as Mad Street. See, it's easy for me to slip up there. Mad Street, Sunny Days, and Michael Stevens will take on Seth DeLay and Michael the Flying Pro Walker. Bobby Moore will take on Teo. Again, that's all the way back to the spike to the eye. Pat Roach will take on a young Zach Buchanan. That, my friends, is a clash of styles.
Yes.
The grizzled old school vet versus the young up-and-comer. Pat Roach, absolutely probably trying to teach this young kid a few lessons.
He probably will
teach him. He's got a long way to go. He'll teach him something. The question is he going to win? That's the question. David Manders will discuss Jacob Ashworth's actions at the last show, and I don't really know.
Will be there?
We're going to find out.
Ooh, that's what I'm really worried about is if Jacob will be there or not. And there might be a trick or treat, folks. So find out from the Southern Fried Fan Club what's going on. Hopefully they'll have a trick or treat so I can get you some candy.
Yeah, they're doing a trunk or treat. I believe it's like the hour before the show, before the doors open and stuff. So check them out there. Monroe, Georgia, Southern Fried Championship Wrestling.
405 Community Court, Monroe, Georgia. I memorized that.
Premier All-Star, they'll be in Buchanan. Bell time 7:30 p.m. The Premier All-Star Heavyweight title will be on the line as Stevie Ray Frost defends against Eddie Hendricks. Sean Nelson's going to take on Xander Seabolt. Alexander Lev will take on Aiden Andrews. Ace Haven, Justin McKenzie will go one-on-one. Xander Orrick will finally come face-to-face with your favorite person, Richard Page, as they try to address their issues with each other, plus the Wonder Boys in action and so much more. Check out Premier All-Star. They're in that West Coast hotbed right now over there on the west side of Georgia.
Doing good. West of Georgia is killing it right now. Premier is doing a wonderful job. I can't wait to be able to have a chance to get over there, man.
Speaking of Premier, Georgia Premier, they're going to be running up in Jasper. That's another hot show. Trevor Blackwell defends his GPW heavyweight title against Jamie Holmes, who's been making waves all over the state of Georgia with one fall wrestling. Trickles into Jasper, and he gets an opportunity to dethrone Trevor Blackwell there. Speaking of titles on the line, the GPW tag team titles will be on the line. It's Christian Taylor and Trent Edwards take on Kieran Gray and one Jason there at Jasper, Georgia. Two super young teams there as a whole. Jason has been making some waves as well across Georgia. He's throwing his money around, folks, so be careful.
Yeah.
those two youngsters need to make sure they got their eye on him.
I've never trickled in Jasper, Georgia, so I might have to go see that.
They're a great show. I've seen several of shows. It's a fun show. Josh Cantrell and Torque with Big in their corner. They will go in a tag team action against Dennis Glass and Hayden Seal with the owner of the Appalachian Gun and Pawn and Range there, the venue that they run there, Josh Fitz. Kind of eager to see where this goes along. Not really sure what Josh Fitz's issues are with the other guy, other than, hey, let me just be in the corner of the good guys, not the bad guys. But I tell you what, I wouldn't get too close to Josh Cantrell because we've learned something over the last few months. He's not afraid to just kind of knock around a person or two. Go back and check out some videos. So Josh Cantrell and Torque should be your odds-on favorites against the two youngsters because that's a lot of experience on that side. Georgia premiere, Jasper, Georgia. Bell time is 6:30 p.m., so make sure you get there early. It's a little bit of a different bell time, so make sure you catch that. Monday, October the 20th, One Fall Wrestling is in Watkinsville. Bell time is 7 p.m. Brady Booker will take Brady Pierce on one-on-one. Now let's get into a little bit of this because we got a little bit of a window here before we get too far in. I saw Brady Pierce appear like just he was there. It wasn't on the card. And it intrigued me as to why he was at a One Fall show. Now seeing him on the show, I'm really intrigued because if you have not followed the career of Brady Pierce, you should. Dude is an absolute physical specimen.
Mm-hmm.
Done a little acting, if you're not aware.
Oh, yeah.
I would beg to say this might be one of Brady Pierce's biggest opportunities as he's going to take on one Brady Booker. And Brady Booker could be one of his biggest challenges to date as well.
Oh, definitely. We saw Brady Pierce out in Mississippi that time we went over for that show. That was awesome. That was a great opportunity to see that. And that's a great show, that One Fall show on Mondays. If you like the beer, they got the beer. They've got all kind of stuff right there in that shopping center in Watkinsville. Totally recommend it.
My personal preference, I tell people, get in the car, drive up there, grab some dinner right there. It's all in the same facility, so you don't have to worry about catching dinner and then driving over, getting there on time. Nope, just go straight to the venue. It's a big, like I said, one of those district type vibes where they got everything right there in one place. Grab you some dinner, go down, grab you an ice cream with the kids, and then head on over to the show. Boop, boop, boop. There's signs, everything will take you right back to it, and check them out. Also on the card, QT Marshall will take on Chase Emery, one of the Carolinas' best, is coming in, and he's been making some appearances here at One Fall. And of course, who better to try to make your mark against than one QT Marshall?
He's so good.
Crazy thing is, Myron, it's not the only Monday show. Action Wrestling. We talked about them running on Friday. They're also going to be running on Monday. They are going to be at Meehan's. The show's called Mayhem at Meehan's. It's in Northwest Vinings. I call it Atlanta because anything inside that bubble to me is Atlanta, but it's Northwest Vinings. Check out Meehan's. But again, follow Action Wrestling. Get your tickets ahead of time. Bell time is 7:30 p.m. On the card, Darian Bingston, Stunt Marshall, Owen Knight, Jameson Shook, OBX, Jazzy Yang, Chainmail, and a whole lot more. It's another like bar, brewery, type of place or whatever. Go in, have a good time, drink a little, watch some wrestling on a Monday night. It's fun for all, man.
Yeah, that's Stunt Marshall, man. Did you see his other slap fight match? How does he keep winning? Does he get the first slap every time, or just he can slap the shit out of people?
He's won the coin toss, and he's got the first slap. I saw somebody make a post about they're waiting to see Stunt lose the first coin toss and to see how he takes a slap versus giving one, because that's the fun part. Watch I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it in the least, folks. I'm just saying it's all well and good when you're knocking people out because you're the first slap.
Yeah.
At some point, the odds are going to flip on you, and you're going to have to take one of those slaps. Yeah. And look, I'm not knocking it. I think he could probably take one, but we're going to find out at some point, right?
Train with my ex-wife if he needs some extra experience.
Yeah, but he's got to take one. That's the fun part. That's everywhere from the weekend. Yeah. That's everything for making the drives this week. Man, we always try to encourage you, man. Like, I'm going to make the social media post. It goes out typically on Thursdays. It'll have all of these lit, and I'll try to link them where you can click on their things on Facebook and go to their pages, get the tickets, all that kind of stuff. Make sure you're heading out. Look, we enjoy the national scene as much as anybody. Trust me, we're watching the Raws, the SmackDowns, the Dynamites, the TNAs, all that kind of stuff. But we always say we think the lifeblood of wrestling in the long term is indie wrestling, because that's where the guys are going to get better and grow and become those stars that we eventually are watching on TV.
There should be a list of all the indie shows in the country so you'd know where to go if you know, it'd be handy to find.
Yeah, there is one. You know where it's at?
Where?
Listen, first and foremost, I'll tell you, full credit. I am not taking the credit for this. Full, absolute, 100% credit to one Phil Stamper. It's his list. He puts it together. I just try to make it convenient and say, hey, copy and paste it, patreon.com/tappedoutpod. Nick, but how much does it cost me? Nothing. It's a free post. I intentionally make that one free. So if you've got a free account with patreon.com/tappedoutpod, absolutely, you're going to get that list. And it is a nationwide list. It's not just the local Georgia list. I post that on my own personal social media as well as the Facebook account of the podcast as well. And so it's one of those extra values, Myron. It's not just about, hey, for $1 you get the show notes, which you do. Hey, it's not about the $5 level where you get the shows early, which you can. It's not about the $10 level where you're going to get those digital collectible version, but you do. It's not about the $25 where you get the 8.5 by 11, but you can't. You can get a free membership just like all the tiers. We tell you, hey, jump and try out the free stuff. And then, by the way, you're going to get to see it's all blocked and hidden, all the stuff that you can't get. And you're going to be like, I want that. And then you can unlock it.
A lot of stuff.
Look, we try to create value. I still, to this day, Myron, cannot understand if you're an indie wrestling fan or a fan in general, for $25, yeah, you could have gotten Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, Black Machismo versus Jay Lethal, by the way. And there's on and on and on. I finally caught you up and got you some.
Oh, I've got my stack. I'm going to be getting them up on the wall as soon as I can.
So I think the value, and now that we know who's this for the month of October, it's going to be, it's well worth the value. I got to figure out November. I've already figured out December. I just got to, I've timed that out on the calendar to make that happen. So trying to wrap up the year with a bang, man. We think the value's there. We hope you do as well. And if not, suggestions, tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Anything else, man, before we get out of here today?
No, it's been a very enjoyable show. I love thinking about that Cena and AJ match and going through it like that. Talk about what I liked.
Well, man, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.